Hi, what I'm going to show you today is how to make a table, and that table is actually going to be our homework page. So one of the first things we want to do is we want to open up our template, and if you accidentally use your template for something else, you can download another copy of the template from a homework page, from a notes page, I should say. Now, one of the things I want to do is, since this is my homework file, our homework page, is I want to put up on the title, homework page. And the nice thing about this is, you got to have your title being very descriptive. Now, I'm going to do something just slightly different than I normally do. I normally don't start off with a style, but I just absolutely have to do this because I can't stand Times New Roman. So this is going to be a real quick and dirty intro to styles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say body, and that's what I'm going to call my selector. And then I put in a curly brackets there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some of the properties of my body, and that means everything that's encapsulated inside the body. So from here down to here, everything inside there will be modified based on this. And what I want to do is I want to change the font dash family. Now this is one of the nice features of brackets. It tries to take a guess as to what you want. And my favorite font is Arial, and I'm going to put a semicolon. So this is the property that I'm changing. This is the colon that's needed. This is the semicolon, which says, hey, stop. This is the new property. By default, what happens is it's Times New Roman. And then I'm going to change one more thing. It's another font, but not dash family. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change the font dash size. So I'm using my arrow key to select font dash size, and I'm going to put 120%. So what I'm telling it is I want to change the size of the font, and I want to make it just a little teeny bit bigger. Well, actually 20% bigger, so that's not just a little teeny bit. So those are just two things that I'm going to do with the font. Now I'm about to make a really serious mistake, but I kind of like this mistake. I'm just going to go hit File, Save. And the reason I like that is it's going to be my new template setting. Well, I don't like that too much, but then I better go File, Save As, and then start calling it homework.html. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a table on our page, but before we do that, I'm going to put in an H1, and inside that H1 what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say my name, and then homework page. This is so Google will know that it's a homework page, because H1s are very important to Google. And Google's that 800-pound gorilla, and they'll use this for their indexes or their search results. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table. So I just use the table tag, and I'm going to hit return a few times because I want to put some information inside. Now, I'm not a real big fan of this next one. I'm going to call it T-head, which is the table header. I really don't think you need a table header tag when you have this next tag that we're going to be using, and that is the TH. And that stands for table header. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 of these. So I'm just going to be extremely lazy. I'm going to copy what I've just done here, hit return, paste, hit return, paste. And then I actually want a little bit line there. Now the reason I spend time doing this is so it's easier to determine where my start of my table is and where my tags end. And that's a nice feature about good old brackets. It shows you the starting and ending tags. So what I'm going to do is, I didn't mean to have that one still up. I'm going to have assignment due and points. Well, I'm going to be lazy, so I'm just going to copy, paste, And then I'm really actually going to be real lazy. I'm just going to copy both of these at the same time and then just cut them out from the other one. So I'm going to go paste, and then I'm going to cut that and paste it. So that's a Control C and a Control V. So this is the first part of my table. I've got a the header that's saying assignment due and points. Now the next thing we're going to do is shame on me. I made a mortal sin and I didn't catch it until just now. Oops, get back here. I should have created a TR. Sacrilege. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut that and end that right there. So what I've done is I'm identifying the rows, and then these are columns inside the rows, or since they're important information, it's a header in the row. So now I'm going to add a T body. Once again, I think this is kind of wasteful, but that's the way they want to do it. So I'm going to hit return a few times. Oops. And what I'm going to do is create another row, which is a TR. Only this time I'm going to do it just a little teeny bit different. Instead of a TH, I'm going to do a TD. I like to call it table divider, or the web likes to call it table data. So that's where we're identifying the table data, but I call it table divider because it's just really dividing up your table. And once again, I'm going to have one row with 3 columns in it, and it's just going to be 3 different pieces of information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back over here, and the first 2 assignments, the resource assignment and the weekly review assignment, is not going to be there, but the browser review and then the post movie review will be. So I will do a browser review. For this semester, the browser review is due on 9/13. And then 50 points. Oh, you know what? I've got assignment. I'm going to change this just slightly. I'm going to come up here and go points. Now notice I've got a star, or actually a little dot right there. It's saying, hey John, you haven't saved me, and that's something you should do quite often. So I'm going to do a Control S or File Save. Either one works. And now I'm going to check it out and see what it looks like inside the browser. Now if you notice, it looks kind of boring because you can't really see where the table is, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to spread that out in just a bit. But what I want to do is I want to get the listing of the assignments done first, and I will have 6 more assignments that I'm going to have to post. Now this is where I like to cheat. It looks good. I can validate it to see if I've done it right, but just looking straight off the bat, I've got a TR here, TH, TH, TH. So that's good. I've got a row here, TR, so they're ended, TD, that's good, good, good. So I know that's perfect for what I want to do. Now what I'm going to do next is really get lazy, so I'm going to Control C, which is copying it. I'm going to give myself some room because you don't have to be right up against here, and I'm going to go paste. So I got all the row, paste, paste, paste. Let's see, how many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do one more. I believe we'll be ready. 7. So TR there still. I've got all the tags that I need. Now what I can do is I can go very quickly and fill in the information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this off to the side here, and I'm going to close that, come over here and drag that off to this over to the side here. Now I don't need all this space right here, but I do need to see what I'm doing, so I'm going to slide that over a little bit like that. I'm also going to take this and slide it over here so I have more room for brackets. There we go. So I got our browser review first. Now instead of a browser review, I'm going to take that and make it a movie review. And then after the movie review, I'm going to have a graphics page. Now, one thing you're going to notice that all these are 50 points, 50 points. So 913, the movie review is going to be 927. Graphics page 10/11. You got the general idea. I'm going to pause this and finish it up for you. Okay, I've finished filling in all that information that I really truly didn't want to bore you with, but please note that I have a browser review, a movie review, graphics web page, info form, website review, Dreamweaver web page, and final project. Now, we're not completely done because a couple things we're going to have to do. We're going to have to pretty it up, but more importantly, we're going to have to put in links, because what this homework page is going to be is the landing page where I grade. And that what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this page and then I'm going to click on the link that you put in, and I hopefully will see your homework. If I don't see it, I'll be very sad and I'll give you a 0. And then I'll give you an opportunity to rectify the situation. And then you'll get 3/4 of the grade you would have. Now I'm a little bit more forgiving at the very beginning than I am at the end. So right now I've done a lot of work here. I'm going to go Control S to save it. I haven't done that, shame on me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting in links for each one of these assignments. So I'm going to do an A, href. I'm going to set it equal to, and then I'm going to go double quotes. Now I can name this whatever I want, but I'm going to be safe and I'm just going to name it browser.html. But also notice that I'm going to call it spell it right, browser.html, but it's all lowercase. There we go. And I put a caret there, and then I'm going to end my A after review. So now, when I click on browser review, it's going to start looking for a page called browser.html. Now, the number one thing you need to be aware of when naming files is it should be all lowercase just to keep it consistent, or keep it all uppercase, but then you want to keep this lowercase because they really like lowercase. But I would recommend keeping it all lowercase. But the bottom line is I really truly don't care. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on it, and if browser pops up, the browser review, you're going to be happy and I'm going to be happy. So now I've got that link. I ended it right here. Now I get real lazy because there's a lot of redundant information here, so I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to click right there and paste it, and then I'm going to replace the browser portion with movie. And then I am going to end my A. But before I do that, notice how this is looking kind of weird. It's saying, you didn't end this A. That's what it's really saying. But it's saying you didn't end the tag, so my TD is out of place. That's what it's telling you. So all I have to do is come over here, do a caret slash, and it will end the A for me because it knows that's what's missing. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to paste it, but instead of browser, I'm going to call it graphics. And remember, you can call it whatever you want, but the bottom line is you got to do it lowercase and no spaces in this file name. If you have a space in the file name, it will not work. And I'm going to click right there. Instead of browser, I'm going to call it info. And then I'm going to come over here and end it. Same way here. Website. /. And oops, went too far. Dreamweaver. And then end that. Oops. And that A. So let's go File, Save. Oops, got one more. Now you might have a separate folder for the final project. That's really truly up to you. But paste, and then I'm going to put final. And then just to show you that I don't have to end it at the end, I'm just going to end it after the final. And I'm going to give myself a space there. So let's save this by doing Control S. And click right there to see what happens. So I've got a web page that looks sort of like this. Now this is kind of boring. I like things centered, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in and do some more CSS. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to change my H1. Nope. I'm going to add a curly bracket there. So I'm telling it, hey, all the H1s on this page, you're going to change your ways. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go text dash the line center, and then I put a semicolon. Now after each entry right here, you have to put a semicolon. And then I'm going to change the font color. Unfortunately, it's just color. Now the one color that I don't really want you to ever use unless it's a link is blue. So I'm going to make it red and put my semicolon there. And I'm going to come over here and see what it looks like. There we go. Now this is where it gets a little weird. You would think that to get the table centered, you'd use that text align. Well, no, that's not how it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go table, and I'm going to change a bunch of properties for the table. First of all, what I want to do is I'm going to assign it a width. Now, I've done enough of these, so I kind of have a feel for how big it should be. So I'm going to put 800 px for 800 pixels. And then I'm going to center it by going margin dash, no, I'm sorry, margin, just margin, and auto. And what that's going to do is I'm going to make this 800 pixel. Ooh, I got a typo. That's why I make my font really big. I would have missed that if I'd had a smaller. A semicolon is not a colon, and a colon is not a semicolon when it comes to CSS. It will mess things up. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to save what I've done, and then I'm going to take a peek at it and look at it. Here we go. So it's a little bit better there. Now, something that I should point out is, oops, where'd it go? Oh, let's just go back this way. Notice that the TH, which is the headers, it's slightly bolder, and by default it's centered. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change all my TDs so they're centered too. So I got TD, and I'm going to go that text align centered. Now, one of my pet peeves you're going to find out very quickly is lack of padding. It is extremely hard to read if you don't have spacing between information. That is one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of websites do. They try to cram way too much information. And this is one of those weird cases where it's easy to make something complex, but it's hard to make something simple. I know it's a big oxymoron on that one. Well, simplicity is the key, and ease of reading is very important, especially when it comes to web design. So I've got my text align center, padding, 10px, and then I'm going to do something up here. I'm going to add a border. Now I'm going to do the quick notation, so I'm going to have a border that's 2px in thickness. It's going to be solid, and then the color is going to be blue. Oops, blue. Now this is, if you notice, I've got three different changes to my border. These, notice that there is no spacing, there is no semicolons, there's just space. So 2px. This has to be right up against that too, by the way. Now you don't have to be right up against the colon. That's something that I try not to do because it makes it easier to read. Well, there, it's even telling me this blue. I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to go Control C, which is going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it down here. And let's see what it looks like now. I'm going to save it, come back over here. Yeah. Now this looks kind of cheesy, so I probably want to do the same thing with the THs with the border. And then if you want just a single one like this, then what we can do is we can collapse the border. But for right now, I'm just going to take my TH. I'm going to put in some curly brackets. I don't need to line it. I don't. Oh, I do need the padding though. That's so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these two settings and paste. Now another thing I could have done, since it's already aligned center, I could just put TD comma TH and do the same thing. Now let's see what it looks like. Come back over here. There we go. So now I have it nice and centered. Now what I want to do is I want to come over here, click on that. Now remember, it's not going to work because it's not up on the web. I'm going to click on my validator homepage, and then I'm going to upload this, and I'm going to double check on, see if I just created a valid web page, because you never know. And let's go here, desktop, website, homework, open, check. All right, good. So I had no errors, no mistakes. Now, it may be a little redundant for you, but I'm going to really harp on this because this is the biggest mistake most people make. The browser review now has to be named browser.html for it to link to the web page. The movie review has to be movie.html. The graphics page needs to be graphics.html. The info form is info.html and website.html. Dreamweaver.html for the Dreamweaver page, and then final.html for final project. And what's happening here is in this homework page, it's going to be looking for those files in the same directory as the homework page is. This is what we call relative referencing. If I had an absolute referencing, you would see the e-commerce.paradisevalley.edu slash CIS133 slash JStorsley slash browser.html. And I'm telling you, that is way too long, and it's so much easier to keep things relative. You also like if I could say it, relative referencing if you move the site from my server to another one. You don't have to go in and change all those links. They'll already be relative to each other, so it won't be broken. So this is what I've got for the how to create a homework page. Now what I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to create a bunch of dummy pages for this so that you are getting good practice to make sure that you know how to create links that work off of this homework page. And it is very simple. I'm going to do one for you right now. I'm going to go File, Open. I'm going to open up that template. I'm going to want it to be browser.html, so I'm going to highlight browser.html, copy it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to paste that browser.html right in there. Now we're not done because this is a very boring. Notice I didn't copy the homework page. That's something that a lot of people have done in the past. I just copied from the template. I renamed the template now browser. Now I want to change this up here because it's going to be the browser review. Oh, how did I do that? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just literally creating a placeholder. So I'm going to do an H1 and browser. Oops. Review goes here. Oops. I like title casings for that since it is kind of a title. And now I just go save. Gonna hit refresh. There we go. So when I come here, refresh, I got browser review, click on it, browser review goes here. Now I'm going to put this on pause and I'm going to finish up the other ones. There, I finished my links. So now I want to double check all of these links. Well, I'm not going to force you to sit through that, so I'm going to go click right here. Aha, browser.html, that's right. I'm just going to jump over here to website review. Good, website review goes here. So I'm very happy, and so would you if I was grading. Now I click on final, and notice final is not there. How I know it's not is I must have misnamed it because it should be final.html. So if you ever get this kind of error message, look for what you'd name that file. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come over here and I'm going to have to create a final. So I'm going to go save as, and I'm going to go final.html. Save. And I just made a big mistake because, oh no, I did it right. Whew. There we go. Final project. And then final project. Save it. Now, when I come back and reload it, I click on it like that. There it is. So you'd be wise once you put up everything on the web to make sure that these links actually work. Because that's another big mistake most people will do is they will call it web space review.html. When they have a space, that's a bad one. But they didn't call it web space. They didn't call it browser. They called it something else. Or they called it graphic.html, not graphics.html like I did in here. Now, the last thing that I do want you to do is we will be showing you, I will be showing you some more CSS. next week. So we're going to be prettying it up. And I do want you to customize this page because that's going to be one of your assignments. And so have some fun with it. The only thing that I ask is that I can still read the links. Because if I have to fight and guess where the links is, you're not going to be happy with your grade, and neither will I. So thank you and good luck